Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in today's second video doing the ECMWF extended forecast for this second video, looking at the weather for Europe over the next 4 weeks. We'll also extend out to weeks 5 and 6 as well. I'll get to that for you in a moment. Just say that first video today was our 6 AM upload, and if that wasn't enough, you've got 10 to 14 down with all our red features coming to you later on this afternoon. Please like, share, subscribe on the video. Thank you so much everyone for doing that. Right, going to start off with the week 1 mean sea level pressure anomaly from ECMWF. So here we go then. High pressure again in the weekend will remain dominant across much of Western Europe. By the way, this is taking us from the week from the 17th, 24th of January. So again, this week we'll have high pressure just dominating the weather, sitting across Western Europe. Low pressure will be in the northeast of Europe. The jet stream will be digging south as well. To some degree, but most parts but West Europe will be stuck under the area of high pressure. Will also be pushing down into the Mediterranean as well. The week 1 500 millibar high tone looks like that. Large area of above average heights, high pressure from the Atlantic into Western Europe, below average heights across northern and eastern parts of Europe. So we could have some cold weather into the east of Europe, maybe the southeast Europe, further snow possible for Greece and Turkey. Meanwhile, out west it remains a snow-free zone once again. Stuck under that large area of high pressure. But temperature anomalies look like that, so very mild this week across Scandinavia and northern Europe. Temperature anomalies significantly above average. Most parts of Scandinavia, northeastern Europe, even down into sort of the Low Countries, Denmark and northern Germany, northern Poland as well, looking very mild through there. Above average temperature of Scotland, colder than average at England and Wales. Most parts of Western Europe are quite chilly under that area of high pressure with risk of frost and fall. But the real cold, the wintry cold, is in this southeastern corner. So like Italy, eastwards through the Adriatic into the Balkans, towards the Black Sea, and then down to Greece and Turkey. That's where there could well be the risk of some snow, even into the eastern part of the Mediterranean. Precipitation-wise, loads of dry weather through much of northern, western, and even some central parts of Europe as well. But the further west you go, close to that area of high pressure you get, the drier it becomes. A little bit above average precipitation in the far northeast Europe. Also got Norway looking quite wet, so that will bring rain and snow to Norway, snow particularly further north you go and over elevation, of course. Then in this southeastern corner, again, we've got above average precipitation extending from the Black Sea down into the eastern portion of the Mediterranean. There could well be snow falling through parts of Greece and into Turkey as well. Particularly Turkey because it's, you know, much more landlocked, but also into Greece as well. Don't be surprised if you see snow in those areas. Week 2 will take us from the 24th to the 31st of January, and again, the high pressure just dominates the weather across most of Western and indeed into Central Europe as well. It extends down into the Mediterranean once more. We have got some lower pressure across the far north of Europe up here. That's where the jet stream is as well. But essentially, high pressure continues to be well and truly in control into week 2 as well. The 500 millibar height anomaly again showing no changes. High pressure extending in from the Atlantic into Western Europe. Low pressure is up to the north along with western jet stream as well, and also extending down the eastern side of Europe as a trough of low pressure in the 500 millibar flow through its eastern and southeastern part of Europe. Temperature anomalies look like that, so above average temperatures across much of northern and western Europe again, particularly so for Scandinavia where we're into those red colours, so that's like 6 to 10 degrees above average on the temperature scale. Also above average temperatures for Scotland, and these warmer than average temperatures extend down into northern Germany and Poland as well. South of that is colder than average in much of France, Spain, Portugal, most parts of the Med having below average temperatures, and really cold again, like from the Balkans towards the Black Sea and going southwards into the eastern portion of the Mediterranean. So once more, the coldest weather remains in that eastern, southeastern part of Europe. Precipitation-wise, just a very dry scene, really, through most areas. So from Ireland and Portugal in the west, right way over to Russia in the east, and pretty much all portions in between. It's largely dry on average with that dominant area of high pressure. The far north of Europe, around Norway in particular, has above average precipitation, again, rain and snow. And into the eastern part of the Mediterranean, still some areas slightly above average rainfall, but it is beginning to dry out even through there as well. Right, so let's go through the week 3, which will be the 31st of January to the 7th of February. The high pressure then starts to move out in towards the Atlantic a little bit. Trough of low pressure coming in to Scandinavia. That might start to bring some colder air into Scandinavia and northern parts of Europe. Essentially, Western Europe is still being dominated by the area of high pressure, it has to be said. 500 millibar high time looks like that. So again, the high pressure is in the Atlantic, this large, massive ridge of high pressure extending from the east coast of America all the way into the UK, Ireland, France, Spain and Portugal. Lower pressure is up here. It might be sending jets from a little bit more of a northwest-southeast alignment into Scandinavia, into northern Europe anyway. So temperature is still above average Scandinavia, but starting to cool down a little bit. Beginning to go slightly cooler there. Still above average really for Ireland and the UK. And then most parts of southern Europe are below average. So the cool weather remains across the south of Europe. Once again, that's where it's pretty cold, especially over here into the southeastern and eastern part of the Mediterranean. It continues looking pretty cold through there. And also Iceland and Greenland, with cold average temperatures. And this is telling us that we still have quite a strong polar vortex probably up here. And then the precipitation anomaly, I should say, looks like that. So it is starting to go a little bit wetter in the far north, beginning to turn more unsettled in towards Scandinavia in particular as those westerlies come back. However, most parts of Western Europe are actually pretty dry. Eastern Europe as well is looking rather dry. Then we've got this area in the white here that has no signal, but probably it's beginning to turn more unsettled, I think. A little bit colder, a little bit more unsettled there, I think, through early February across the far north of Europe. Week 4 is the 7th to the 14th of February. No real changes. High pressures in the Atlantic extending into western parts of Europe. Strong polar vortex still signalled around Greenland, Iceland. The westerlies go on, so looking very flat. And you would have thought pretty mild. The 500 millibar height anomaly looks like that. Again, all of the low pressure is locked in around Greenland, Iceland. Still this area of high pressure here. The above average heights high pressure extends to like southern America and even Mexico to some degree. All the way over the Atlantic into Western Europe as well. So it's a massive area of high pressure. And that keeps things well and truly zonal and really westerly as well. The temperature anomaly looks like that. So as we're going along, the signal is weakening, but it's still sort of forecasting above average temperatures here in the far north and west of Europe. Meanwhile, the southern and eastern and southeastern parts of Europe, that's where it looks colder. Again, particularly so through the eastern part of them there. We're going to have a really cold run here, I think, through the eastern part or southeastern part of Europe from Balkans to Greece, Turkey, Romania, those areas. I think we could have a really cold run, several weeks of really cold weather down there, but also equally a really mild run across much of northern Western Europe. That just goes on and on to show no signs of changing. Large area of white you'll notice where there's not much of a signal by the time you get through to week 4, which is due to the fact that we're so far out, of course. Precipitation lines from the 7th to 14th February look like that, so weakening signals, but sort of wet out in the Atlantic, so it does tell us that we probably are reverting to a rather more unsettled and wetter pattern through the far north and west of Europe. Meanwhile, though, most of the southern parts of Europe and East Europe are still dominated by high pressure, so largely dry up through there. Right, well, that's the 30-day forecast done, the 4-weekly outlook. Let's just have a look at weeks 5 and 6 data before we go. So week 5 is the 14th, 21st of February. High pressure then brings spring to Western Europe as it centres around the Alps and France, which will drag up a very mild, if not warm, southerly, southwesterly into the Western Europe. Meanwhile, low pressure is up around Greenland and Iceland, and winds remain in from the west up there. That's how the 500 millibar height anomaly looks. Essentially no change. It's week after week after week of the same sort of weather pattern, really. Low pressure up to the north, high pressure down here, and winds still coming in from west-southwest direction. Of course, the further on we're going into February and heading in towards spring, then the warmer it's going to get. Temperature anomalies look like that. Very mild, if not warm, across most parts of northern Western Europe. Southeast Europe still hinting at being rather cold. If you want some snow, go to Greece in the next 6 weeks. The 500 precipitation anomaly, I should say, looks like that. So it's wetter in the north, it's drier in the south. And then finally, week 6 will be the 21st to 28th of February. And it remains as flat as a pancake with high pressure again through here. Low pressure is up here. Winds still in from that westerly direction. A total write-off of the February for cold weather across all parts of northern and western Europe. And large parts of the UK and Ireland would have a completely snow-free winter here. Perhaps the most snowless winter on record is possible with this. Winds in from the west to southwesterly direction, even into the last week of February. The temperature anomaly remains above average again across the north and the west of Europe. And finally, and thank God it's over, eh? The precipitation anomaly is still wet and average in the north, and it's still drier than average in the south. And there we go. That's that done. That's that out the way then. So what do you mean about that? Let me know in the comments. I'll be enjoying reading those. And we'll be back a little bit later on with your 10 to 14 day that will include all our regular features for this week's European Outlook. That's all for now, and thanks for watching.